Promise strength.
One.
What's going on, YouTube, Facebook, subscribers, and viewers of this video? This is Bill Mack here with Pro Wrestling Unleashed here with this week's edition of the WWE RAW in review. I am bringing it to you. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Sorry I missed last week. Had a lot going on. Wasn't able to drop any videos on you folks. Sorry about that for those of you the video. Hope you enjoy this video to make up for it. We had a really mediocre, I would call it, edition of Raw, not your typical best, considering all rights, to the show, but it is what it is. But we have a decent show here for you. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do like this video, drop a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, share this video if you can. I'm trying to shoot the subscribers, get as many as I possibly can. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and let's get right into it. The show opened up basically with the entire women's roster in the ring. Alexa Bliss is getting crowned as the women's Raw champion, or WWE Raw Women's Champion, whichever way you want to put it. Alexa starts putting down Bayley in her loss at the pay-per-view. Alexa winning the championship, and then basically a brawl breaks out during the break. Kurt Angle has a 4-on-4 matchup with the women. We had Alexa Bliss, Emma, Nia Jax, and we had Alicia Fox taking on Bayley, Sasha Banks, Mickie James, Dana Brooke. It went back and forth basically, and it came when Alexa Bliss had gouged Bayley in the eyes outside of the referee's view where he couldn't see it. Basically, she ends up hitting Bayley with the DDT. 1, 2, 3. Bayley is pinned by Alexa Bliss, and it is Alexa Bliss's team gets the win. So that was the first matchup of the night. Next, we have a revenge match. Basically, Luke Gallows taking on Enzo Amore, based on the Enzo and Cass defeating the club during the kickoff show of the Payback pay-per-view, which was from the night before. Basically, Big Cass followed Enzo out during this matchup, and Gallows was Anderson. Basically, Gallows dominated the matchup throughout the whole time. Enzo put up a little offense during this matchup, and then basically Anderson distracts Enzo as Enzo gets on the top. Then Gallows ends up picking up the win once he gets Enzo on the ground. So it looks, even though Gallows had the matchup won, basically dominated this matchup, still needed help, which is, I guess, what your heels are there for, is to cheat regardless of whatever the situation may be. So any little edge counts. So Gallows and Anderson, Gallows ends up getting the win this week. Up next, we see a backstage segment with T.J. Perkins. Remember, T.J. Perkins was talking to Neville about his interfering with the referee, causing the referee to disqualify him when Austin Aries looked to attack him last week. So Neville was kind of on edge with TJ and tells him, your opportunities are coming by. You're going to face Austin Aries tonight. You don't squander these chances you have at potential matches for the Cruiserweight title. So we see Seth Rollins come to the ring. Seth Rollins talks about how he defeated Triple H at WrestleMania, how he got some retribution against Samoa Joe in his win over Samoa Joe at Payback. We see this time, he says next he wants to challenge Brock Lesnar. He's going after the Universal title, which hence prompts Finn Balor to come out. We see Finn Balor talk about how he Seth Rollins, how he was the first ever Universal Champion. He talks about, basically he hasn't forgotten what happened to him at the hands of Seth when he got injured and had to relinquish the Universal title. So then he starts talking about, the line starts with him. Then that prompts The Miz to come out. And so The Miz gets his 2 cents worth in it, with Dean Ambrose out there talking to him as well. So Dean claims that he calls up Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle makes a matchup for a triple threat for the #1 contenders match. And between those 3 guys, later on in the night, whoever wins will get the Intercontinental Championship shot at the Intercontinental Championship. Dean also makes a point, says since this is the only show, this is the title that should be relevant on the show, and that's very true since Brock is going to be out till June or July before he even defends the title. So here goes that whole WWE 30-day rule that they supposedly come up with. We had a cruiserweight matchup. We had a triple threat, 3-man tag match. You had Rich Swann, you had Tozawa, and you had Gentleman Jack Gallagher taking on Tony Nese, the Brian Kendrick, and Noam Dar. Kendrick basically had Gallagher in the Captain's Hook, but then Tozawa ended up hitting Neville with a Shining Wizard to break up the submission. Then Gallagher ends up kicking Kendrick with a drop kick in the corner and then covering him to get the 1-2-3. So the winner is basically Rich Swann, Tozawa, and Jack Gallagher. Up next, we see Sheamus and Cesaro come to the ring, explain their actions, why they turned on the Hardys, and did a sneak attack on the Hardys after the Hardys prevailed over them from the night before the pay-per-view. And the Hardys showed up, basically teasing a little bit of the broken gimmick with Matt. Time they run out to the ring, the Sheamus and Cesaro both scatter, and they go up to leading up the ramp side by side, taunting the Hardys. Up next, we have the Titus brand. Basically, they're going with this storyline with Apollo Crews taking on Heath Slater. Rhino came out with Heath Slater as Titus joined Apollo Crews. Basic matchup here. Crews ends up back and forth with Slater. Slater gets a little bit of offense on. Crews ends up hitting a sit-out power bomb. And then they end up taking a selfie again in the ring between Apollo and Titus. We see Rhino kind of do a little photo bomb in there in the back behind him as he leaves the ring. A little funny segment. We see basically Kurt Angle come out and he talks about how the health and situation between how devastating the night before, but the match between Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, how difficult that was, how harsh that was, how tough it was on both guys, and how Reigns had re-injured his ribs, which should have been worse than that. He had a bunch of internal injuries. So basically, Strowman gets slammed in the door, ambulance door. He's got a torn rotator cuff. And then as he starts talking, Bray Wyatt comes out. Bray Wyatt tells Angle basically, this is my world. And he tells Angle he's either on his side or he's in his way, which kind of ends that segment there. Thought it was a pretty decent segment there. And he brags about how he closes the chapter on Randy Orton. So no more feud there. That's basically the cut and dry the end of it. Up next, we have another cruiserweight matchup between TJP. I guess he's quit being called TJ Perkins. TJP taking on Austin Aries. Good back and forth matchup. He ends up TJ Perkins tapping out to the last chancery, which was, basically Austin Aries sold his knee injury the whole matchup. So he was fighting basically with one leg. Tried to do his move different times, couldn't do it. Tried to do a few moves, couldn't do it. TJ Perkins worked on his leg, the basic parts of this matchup. But like I said, the last chancery by Austin Aries on TJP, and he gets the submission and the win on this matchup. Then we see Dean Ambrose talking to Finn Balor, and he's doing his little interview gimmick again. And he tells basically Finn Balor he kind of needs to eat a donut because he looks like he needs it because he's so small. And then we see the Drifter Eli Sampson funny coming through playing the guitar, and a little funny segment between him and Ambrose. Ambrose is kind of listening to his music as he's playing, as he's going by. Thought it was pretty good. Last but not least, folks, this has been a Continental Championship #1 contenders matchup, triple threat. Now, this was a good match. Basically, Miz at the beginning of the match tried to bait Finn Balor and the Miz against Finn Balor and Seth Rollins against each other the whole matchup. He tried to take turns getting in there when he could. They eventually tried to chase him down, beat him down, and kept throwing him out the ring. So we see at one point the Miz shoves Rollins off the top, and he crashes into the barrier on the outside. Then we see that Rollins tries a cross body on Finn Balor. He ends up missing and lands on his head, which is a sight to see. But then we see Balor all of a sudden take control of the match, and he basically hits Rollins with the 1916, and then Miz ends up making the save in that matchup. And we see Miz ends up hitting a near fall after hitting him with a base drop kick to him, followed by a DDT. He ends up locking the figure four, which Balor breaks up, and it ends up Rollins scores a double blockbuster on the both of them, and then Balor with the frog splash only gets a 2 count. Rollins ends up doing a suplex followed by the broken Falcon Arrow, and then Samoa Joe comes out, and we'll continue this in just a minute. Samoa Joe comes out in the crowd, folks, and he starts attacking, attacking basically Seth Rollins. So apparently that's not the end that Seth had thought. Long ways ahead. So he ends up distracting the Miz long enough for Balor to connecting him with a sling blade, then a drop kick into the corner, and then he goes to set up for the coup de grace. Ends up Bray Wyatt comes out. And then somehow in the ring, of course, they call it teleporting, however they say that, teleporting to the ring. Then he ends up hitting Sister Abigail on Finn Balor. This allows The Miz to end up making the cover. 1, 2, 3, your new number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship on Raw is The Miz with Maurice. So I know this was basically a good show. I guess it was all right. Glad to see them focusing on the Intercontinental title they've got to for a few months. Just like Kevin Owens was making it a focus whenever the U.S. title was on there. Good to see these storylines going a little further. I'm anxious to see this Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt feud. This is something I'm looking forward to seeing. The Miz is always good on the mic. I thought their segment was a really good segment tonight. Thought it was a decent show. We did see at one point, I didn't mention tonight, about Goldust and R-Truth talking to Kurt Angle about the, a championship opportunity, and then he said that their basic win-loss record wasn't good enough for a title match, but he had put them in a match, which next week was the tag team turmoil on Raw, and then the winner would become the new number one contender. So everybody's doing number one contenders matches rather than just in these kinds of matchups, just like they did on SmackDown where Fandango and Breezango won. Theirs on SmackDown. Now we got a tag team turmoil on Raw to number one contenders. So everybody's doing these number one contenders matchups. Nobody's really wrestling for them anymore. It's 2 or 3, 4 teams together in these things. I think that's pretty bad, but it looks like the teams really don't have, as far as creative teams, don't really have a lot going on that they can actually make storyline apparently out of, since you have so many teams on Raw superior to the ones on SmackDown having to make do with what they got. So hope you enjoyed the video, folks. If you do, drop a like. I'll get more up. Get your SmackDown I'll get your SmackDown report cranked out quickly, and hopefully your TNA or Impact Wrestling. I still get that mixed up. Impact Wrestling out. Hope you folks take care. Like this video. Put out more. If you have any comments you want to make, feel free to drop them in the comment section here. And I appreciate that. And like I said, subscribe to my channel. Trying to get as many subscribers as I can. So everyone, take care. Until next time. This is Bill Mack here with Pro Wrestling Unleashed. Take it easy.